Hi, back to A Woman Full of Soul. And I'm Mary again, and I'm having Kristin on with One Hail Mary at a Time, who actively posts quite a bit on Facebook and Instagram about her own journey in faith, but also in motherhood. Um, and she's going to share about that with you today. So, Kristin, can you tell everyone what you do every day, what your daily habits look like, whatever you would like to share?
Sure. I'm a mom of six. I'm actually expecting seven due here in like 6 to 8 weeks. And I work full time in banking. And we lived in the city of Chicago, but then we had moved out to kind of the woods about 2.5 years ago. And I felt kind of communityless. And we had a thriving community in the city. And I was also part of a group where we would meet every Thursday morning and pray the rosary. And even though it was 15, 20 minutes, that group were still close today. And I think there's so much power in prayer, and especially like in those intentions, because I think it immediately makes us vulnerable because we reveal what we're dealing with in our lives. And so when we moved, and I'm trying to like recreate or start a community again, as we all know, it takes forever.
Yeah, it takes time.
It takes a long time. So that's how One Hail Mary at a Time was born. And I also wanted to give a voice to the working mom. And in those struggles, because I think for some of us it's equally hard to find friendship and authentic friendship. So that's kind of the beginning of the story. And now since then I also have a separate account where we pray live every morning at 6:45. So,
and where can people find you if they want to join that?
Oh yeah, so that's many Hail Marys at a time.
Okay.
So there's one Hail Mary at a time. That's for those where we're just kind of taking life one Hail Mary at a time. And then that account is where we actually pray the rosary live every morning at 6:45. But a lot of people watch the recording after too. So yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And what inspires you every day to do what you do? And what inspires you in your life? What keeps you going? What gives you that motivation and drive?
I think really to be the best I can be, and really the goal is heaven, or bringing heaven on earth. And so how do you achieve that? And I think a lot of it is surrendering your life, your day, your activities to God. And then from there, really just trying to be the best that you can be where you are, which often is just being present to what is.
Awesome. And do you have anything you'd like to share about your family and how you make it through each day in relation to your family, like being who you need to be as the mother that you are, with now going to be 7 children, right?
Yeah.
So exciting.
Be patient, let a lot go. I think like with each child, we let more and more slide. Because I think, it's can be more about just surviving at that moment in time. But our schedule is, my husband also runs his own company, so he has a lot of flexibility, and we very much have kind of like a 50-50 partnership when it comes to caring for our kids and in our family. And so both of us are here in the morning, and then we also have a nanny that comes and helps us, but we're with them in the morning, getting them ready, getting them out the door. And then we do have 5 in school. The little 2 are in preschool, so it's like half day. And then we'll go to work, we'll do work wherever that needs to be. And then our kids, actually, they are dropped off from the bus at about 4. And so one of us always tries to kind of be here by 4 if we can. Sometimes that doesn't happen, but just to kind of be another hands on deck. And then I'd say we all probably sit down and eat. It's often like one parent at that moment in time. Eat dinner, 5:36. And like really at that time, I try to put my phone away so that I can just be fully present with them. And then from that 6 to 8:30 period is like, that's like family time when we're with them. And then we also try to pray a family rosary. Sometimes it's just me and my husband and like 6 kids running around. Sometimes it's, it's us and a few big kids that are actually doing it. Sometimes they're not at all. For us, we just really try to focus on ourselves, and I think that they are watching us, and so I think by our actions, hopefully, they're picking it up. And then it's bedtime, and then bedtime can be 2, 3, 4 hours, which is
right. Putting them to bed, getting them to sleep, the whole process.
Yeah, right? Yeah, and then none of our kids like have their own room, and so it's always like trying to get one to be quiet so the other one, that whole battle, right? But yeah, so that's kind of how we do it. Lots of prayer.
How do you find that the rosary helps you?
I think the biggest thing with the rosary is that you don't have to worry. I feel very much that if you can fit that in during your day, like we now say it every morning at 6:45 on many Hail Marys at a time. And so I feel like when I start my day off with that prayer, I offer up all of my worries, all of my day, and my day goes so much better because it's I'm not trying to control as much, right? Like what am I going to do tomorrow? What's going to happen next week? What's going to happen today? It's very much like, well, I did this and I lifted it up to God, and now I can continue to move forward with my day. And then with our family, again, it's just surrendering our lives and where we are. And this just, I don't worry. I let it all go. I try.
Awesome. And I do have one more question about, like, in relation to the relationship in the family. Do you two make active time for each other alone, away from your children? So do you do date nights? What do you do? How do you keep your relationship healthy?
So we've never done like official date nights, but we do very much try to make each other a priority. So things that we do is like on Saturday or Sunday, I'll try to schedule a sitter for 3 or 4 hours. And sometimes that's like in the middle of the day, because like, for us, we prefer to go on a walk or go grab lunch, or sometimes it's even like cleaning or organizing or running to Home Depot to get paint together or whatever. We also, our work is somewhat in alignment with both of us with what we do. So we do a lot of work events together. So so that helps. And then we even carpool to work sometimes. But so I would say that's how we spend our time. We don't have like official date nights, but we definitely make it a priority to spend time together, because I think the best thing that you really can do for your kids is love your husband and put your marriage first.
Right.
Yeah.
What do you find is one challenge you're facing right now and you're trying to overcome?
I think it's really trying to manage all that's coming at me sometimes, especially when I'm with them. So I was gone for a full day and I was on a panel at night. And so I find that when I am not, they don't get enough of me, I feel like, in their day, then the following day, I feel like they can be very much on top of me and they all want to talk. And I really haven't been able to figure out that balance, how to make sure like this one gets 15 minutes and this one gets 15 minutes and this one gets, I try to just sit there and be with them, but it's that has probably been the hardest thing. And, I have a lot of kids. And so I try to just be patient and be patient with myself and with them. But it's the feeling of overwhelm. I think I I struggle with that a lot sometimes
Okay.
because there's just a lot going on. Yeah.
Okay, on another note, do you ever feel judged because you have the amount of children that you have? Has anybody ever made comments to you where you're
Oh
just like,
yeah.
leave me alone?
Oh yeah. All the time. All the
Okay.
time. But here's what you realize. When you have 0 children, people make comments. When you
Right.
make 1, it's like, okay, what do you have the next one? Then when you have like the third, people are like, oh my gosh, like the
Right.
comments like never go away, no matter what.
Right.
And I think once we went for 5, people are like, okay, they are legit crazy. And so then like having 6 and 7, it's like it's just not even really a topic of conversation anymore.
Yeah, there's no,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, they're like, all right, they're already on planet Pluto. Like, so our friends are just, everybody's just kind of learned to accept it. And
Which is great. I mean, it's great that you have friends that are supportive
yeah, I mean, they think
really
we're crazy,
accept
but
you for who
yeah,
you are and what you want
yeah,
and the values that you have.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. I think kids are great and wonderful. And I think we always think, 20, 30, 40 years from now, like, where do we want to be? What do we want to be doing? And so, yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Who is one person in your life that has inspired you beyond belief, and how have they touched your life? It can be someone who's alive, it can be someone who has died, it can be a
Yeah.
famous person that you've never actually met.
Yeah. So I actually, I think, I think it'd probably be my sister.
Okay.
She has 4 kids. She's divorced and she's been a single mom for about 4 or 5 years. But to me, she is like the true definition of a saint. Like she just gives, gives, gives. It's never about her. It's always about how can I help those around me. Like she's like living
Mhm.
it every day.
Yeah.
And so witnessing someone that's really gone through a lot of hard things and
Hmm.
still is cheery and joyful, I think she really helps me balance and put things in perspective as to like what's important in life.
Awesome. And what would you say is most important in life? If there is one thing you wanted to share with every woman that they needed to know, what would that one thing be? Or mother. It could be all women, it can be a mother, it can be both. It can be two separate things, one for each.
Um, I think be gentle and kind with yourself, and nobody has it all figured out.
Mhm.
I think in my 20s, I think I always thought you had to have this plan and this plan of certainty, and this is what it's going to look like, and this is how it's going to go. But
Mhm.
that's not really how life goes. And so you
Right.
just never really know what's going to happen, and nobody has it really figured out. We're all just trying to act like we have it figured out, but we
Mhm.
don't. So yeah.
Okay. And how would you define a woman full of soul? If there was one word you would use to define a woman full of soul, what would that be and why?
Full soul. So I often think of someone who's very much like at peace and at peace with where they are, who they are in their mannerisms, and they're very comfortable in their own skin, and
Mhm.
they don't tend to really necessarily talk about what they do, right? They're just always there, and they're joyful, and they're always contributing in some way, shape, or form to the conversation or activity or whatever it is, and often never really thinking of themselves, just always thinking about how to lift others
Mhm.
around them.
How do you think that women can maintain that peace or have that peace
I think it's a
within them?
constant reevaluation of priorities and boundaries, right? Like, I guess I should have mentioned, like, with our family right now, we don't do a lot of activities.
Mhm.
Um, and that even kind of includes sometimes play dates and birthdays, because we just find when one parent has to shuffle a child off to something, then there's another one at home solo, and it just really disrupts the peace of the home. So we try to simplify that if we can. But yeah, I think having peace, it's just a constant reevaluation of what's going on, because I think now especially there's just so many distractions, so many things that we could do, and also platforms that show us other things that we could be doing to make us
Right.
more anxious, you know? But I think peace comes with just being fully present where you are.
And how do you foster that more deeply in your children or in children? How would you recommend women to foster that in their children if they have children or
Um,
even in other people around them?
I think a lot of it really is through action and through being joyful to what is, and maybe it is sometimes even saying things like, I know we really want to do this activity, but we're not going to because we believe that this time and being present with our family is important, right? Or like sitting down for dinner, or for us, like the rosary is important, and our kids might not be fully participating, but them seeing us do it, and then maybe
Right.
even talking about how, oh, like just making a statement like, I just feel so much more peaceful when after I pray this, you know. I think
Mhm.
they pick up on it, even though they may not be actively participating.
Right, and they are seeing you live out your life the way you're living it too, which is an
Right.
amazing way, right? Like so
Right.
they're seeing how a family functions. They're
Right.
seeing what sacrifices need to be made to have a
Right.
family and
Right.
to have that time together or what is okay to say no to,
Right.
and to let go of that's not as important as family time or spending
Right.
time with each other or even helping each other through problems. Because I
Right.
can imagine if you have one that asks to go to a party, like a birthday party or something, then the other child could be like, well, I have this activity today, so why do they get to
It's
go
a
to theirs and
ripple.
I can't go to
Right.
mine,
Right.
or something like
Right.
that,
Right.
right?
Totally. Yes. Yes. Yeah.
So division of time and time management, what do you find helps you manage your time the best? Do you have certain resources that you use? What
Mm.
do you like to keep your time organized?
So lots of lists. That's like how I at least organize my brain and like take all those things I think I need to do and put them on paper so that like releases some space in the brain.
Mhm.
And then tools, like we do outsource a lot, right? So a lot of Amazon, we even do Instacart where the food is delivered.
Mhm.
Anything like that helps where, if I can outsource that, then it gives me more time with other things. But also very much like blocking off time from like 5:30 to 8 or 6 to 8:30, whatever that is. We're just being fully present with kids and putting away the time, putting away the device. Then I at least feel like that time was valuable, and I was fully there. It's more about the quality, not the quantity of the time, I think. Um, and so when it comes to time management, I mean, it's an evolving process. Still trying to figure it out.
And what is one thing that you do for yourself for self-care? What does that look like for you? Like, what is your one thing that you have to have if you don't have it? Like,
Um,
besides the rosary, because I know the rosary
yeah.
is part of self-care too, but
I, I I think I'm like a pretty avid like bath taker. I think that's at least one way to escape and get some time to myself. Um, that's probably it. Or even a lot of times it's more at work where I'm going to coffee with a friend or going to lunch with a friend. I think that is really kind of my form of self care, is like connecting with other friends.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's great. Is there
Yeah.
anything else you wanna share with anyone on here? Anything else you can think of that maybe I didn't ask that you think is important for them to know or any life
Um,
advice?
I think um I think a big thing is very much like don't get into the comparison trap. I think
Mhm.
everybody is really dealing with hard things, whether or not you want to talk about it. Um, I think be gentle with yourself and don't compare. Like we were
Yeah.
talking earlier about like the scrolling.
Right. So we were talking a little earlier about how everyone's on Instagram and Facebook and all of the social media. And you can get really trapped in social media and comparing yourself to other people nonstop. And it can make you feel guilt, shame. It can make you just feel bad about who you are. It can bring down your self-esteem. So
or it can, very much for me, it can make me feel like I'm not doing enough. Which, when you really look at it and like flip it and think about like gratitude, like look at all the things that I do have that I need to be grateful for. And that's where I think it can be a downward spiral for me, is because you see all these people doing other things. You're like, oh, I should be doing that, or I'm not, right? So it's just, don't compare.
Yeah, and it can steal your joy really quickly,
right?
And then cause you to feel like you're less than living up to your potential, when that's not necessarily the case.
Right.
Although in some ways, like the way you're doing the many Hail Marys at a time, social media can also be used in a really good and healthy way to promote kindness and goodness and other good things with other people, and creating that idea of community, to having that sense of community in the groups that you connect with. But again, not allowing that to totally take over all parts of your being.
Right.
It's hard. It can be really consuming.
Yeah, for sure.
Is there anything else that you can think of that you want to share? You're welcome. Thank you for being on and for being so honest and open and sharing so much about yourself and being put on the spot with my multiple questions. So it's been a pleasure to have you on the show, and thank you for your time. And of course, we would love to connect with you again. So if you're available in the future, let me know. But I know that you're really busy, and
thank you for all you're doing too. This is great.
Yeah, and it's been an honor to speak with you, and even just to get to know you better and your family better, and how you're able to really juggle everything and live out that witness of faith just in the way that you're living, in the choices that you're making every day, and the decisions you're making every day. It's amazing. So thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you.
You're welcome. So everyone, this is another episode of A Woman Full of Soul. Thank you for joining us today, and I'll see you again next time.